Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to answer some of your questions in the comment section on YouTube there. So there's quite a few, healthcare, banking, insurance, rentals, stuff like that. So let's start with healthcare. So if you're coming over on the non-lucrative or the non-working residence visa, you're not entitled to use the public healthcare system here. So you'll have to carry private insurance. So it works very similar to back in North America with your private insurance. You basically just contact a company, go through kind of like a questionnaire, pre-existing conditions, stuff like that, and then they'll issue you a premium. So my premium for the year is $668 just for myself, and there's no co-pay with that at all. And I went through ASSSA here in Fuengirola, but you can go with any company. So as I speak about healthcare, it's literally only going to deal with that one company. Other companies might do it a bit differently, but I'll go through how it kind of works for myself. All right, so because you're under private insurance, you can only use the services that are covered under your insurance company, if that makes sense. So there might be 100 GPs here in the city, but for me, there's only 2. So what happens is when you get your policy, they will send you a link, and it's basically a huge directory of all the services you can use. You just select your province and then you can download that, and it will tell you everything from one end of the province to the other. So if you don't have it in your city, say you're in a smaller city, you can just travel up to Malaga. So I'm in Fuengirola here. There's tons of services, and whatever I don't have, I can just easily get in Malaga. So in that massive directory that you can look through to see where you want to go, it will also tell you the language that they speak at that specific clinic or doctor. So another common question I get asked, are the medications the same as back home? Yes and no. So it depends on the medication. Some are, some are not. So if you're searching for brand names, those probably might be different. Even between Canada and the USA, some medications are different. So search the generic name if you're trying to find out. Also, the classes of drugs will be the same, like beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, stuff like that. So you should be able to find the same or a similar medication to what you're used to back home. But I mean, there's so many on the market, it's really hard to give a proper answer to that. So another thing that's commonly asked is there a cost to see the doctor? And if you're on the private system under my insurance company, ASSSA, there is no cost, there's no co-pays for anything. You pay one premium for the year and that is it. Furthermore, people ask, how does the system work? So I haven't really used it a whole bunch yet, but almost everything can be booked online, it seems, like a visit to your GP, authorizations, payments, all that stuff can be all done online. There'll be an online portal once you're insured, and you can go in and do a multitude of things in that portal. Another point on the health insurance. So that's going to vary widely depending on your age, gender, pre-existing conditions, and all that stuff. So don't base that $668 that I pay. Yours might be cheaper, yours might be more. So just keep that in mind. Now, once you are done 5 years here, so you do your visa, 1 year, 2 year, 2 year, then you have the option to apply for residency. Once you become a permanent resident, then you can go on the public system. From what I hear, a lot of people maintain the private system even when they're entitled to the public system, and then you can go back and forth. Apparently some things are done better in the public system, some things are done better in the private, and it's quite affordable, so people will still keep the private even once they're on the public healthcare system. Okay, so how much does it cost to live in Spain? So we'll start with the minimum financial requirement, and I can only base it on the Toronto Consulate in Canada. So for an individual, it's $31.08 Canadian per month. So you can have that monthly, like a recurring pension or whatever you might have, or you can also have that in savings. Now, every additional family member or dependent is $777 Canadian a month. All right, so that'll get you through your first year. Then you go to renew, and your next one is for 2 years. So if you're on the monthly, you won't really have to worry about it as long as that income keeps coming in monthly. But if you're doing it on savings, you'll have to show 2 years now worth of savings. And then again, for the next renewal is another 2. So for 5 years, you're gonna have to maintain a balance before you can apply for like permanent residency. So a lot of people ask, how do you make your money? Well, there's a million different ways you can make your money. You can have a pension, you can have rental properties, you could have done really well in investments, you could just have a ton of money saved, like maybe you struck the lottery, got an inheritance, or you worked really hard and saved up a ton of money. You could do it that way. You could also own a business back home and have somebody run it for you and just reap the benefits of that. So there's a million ways. Now, if you want to look at how to retire early, there's a movement called FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early. I really don't like talking about financial stuff, but these, there's a couple from the United States and they moved to Portugal. They retired, I think they're only in their early 40s maybe. They did do a year in Spain and then they moved over to Portugal. They're fantastic. They have all kinds of information on the FIRE movement, side hustles, stock market tips, investing, you name it. They're like the #1 channel. I watch them myself, highly recommend them. It's called Our Rich Journey. Take a look at them, go through their back catalog of videos. There's so much useful information. Like, you're gonna have to, maybe, like, if you're not super wealthy, you're gonna have to make a bit of a sacrifice, grind it out, do some side hustles, whatever you can to retire early. And investing, of course, is gonna be a big part of that. But check out their channel, highly recommend it. They're probably the best one that I've seen for retiring early abroad. I always get a lot of questions about the lawyer, and I'll tell you again, I use just Law Solicitors here in Fuengirola. I'll link it below. If you go onto YouTube and you look kind of where the comments are, there'll be like a little drop down box, and I have like a little description of the video. Below that description, you will see all the links that I do it in every video. If there's something to link, that's where you will find them. Okay, the application process itself, I get a lot of questions. When's the best time to apply? There really isn't a best time to apply. Apply when you're ready, when you got everything done. But I think I mentioned this in another video. In the August, September timeframe, you're gonna get all the students applying. So it's gonna backlog the consulate in your area for all the people like studying abroad. So keep that in mind. From what I've heard, spring is probably the fastest time. Some Canadians have had it return in like 4 weeks. So if you're looking to get it done really quick, that's probably a good time frame to apply. And there's always a little confusion about the rental contract for the application. You do need a 12-month contract, yes, but you don't need it as part of your application. You can do that when you get here. At least that's how it works through the Toronto Consulate in Canada. But keep in mind, you only have 30 days once you get here to get all your stuff done. So you're gonna have to secure a place fast, and Airbnb does not count. So if you can get one before you come, fantastic. That's probably a great way to do it. But I found a lot of agents won't respond to you if you're not here. Like if you're still back in Canada or the US or wherever you're at, I find they just don't talk to you until you're on the ground, which kind of makes sense because they want to move the property now, not in 4 months, right? So you do have some time, but like maybe 2-3 weeks out before you're going to come, I would start hammering the agents with emails on the properties that you like, because properties seem to go here really fast. There's a lot of short-term rentals. Of course, it's a beach town, so maybe if you're inland or farther back, maybe that's not the case, but I live basically like 100 meters from the water, so there's a lot of short-term rentals around. So if you're looking for long-term rentals, they get scooped up fast, especially the nice ones, so bear that in mind. So do you have to get your documents translated for your application? No, not if you're coming through Toronto in Canada at that consulate, and if all the sources are basically Canadian, so the RCMP, TD Bank, Scotiabank, Edward Jones, etc. If your documents are coming from them and they're in English from source, you don't have to get them translated. Now, if you hold money, say over in Germany or maybe Japan, yeah, those are gonna have to be translated, definitely. And that's really all I got to say about the translation. It's a very simple process, as long as everything's coming from Canada. So do you have to go to the consulate, and is there an interview? Not in Toronto anyways. I think the UK still does interviews and you actually go to the consulate. That is not the case in Canada. It's very straightforward. You mail it in, they mail it back. You probably won't even hear from them unless there's something wrong or missing with your application. Oh, one more thing. I get a lot of questions about the health certificate. Very easy. If your doctor won't fill it out, just keep going to walk-in clinics until one will. That's really, it's that simple. Some of them get a little thrown off by it. Go to a walk-in clinic, ask him. They might charge you 30 or 35 bucks for like basically a doctor's note. And that's it. Very simple process. Don't freak out about it. All right, and when it comes to the proof of the finances for the application, literally just print them off from your financial institution, your investments, your banking. Just print off your checking account, your savings account, your investment account, the last 3 months. No need to get it notarized, nothing. Just put that in the mail. It's that simple. Now, I get a lot of questions from American viewers, and it seems like some of their consulates seem to be putting on additional requirements on top of like the minimum requirements. So I can't really speak to that. It sounds like the one in Houston, Texas is probably the most easy to deal with from what I heard. There's a lady in California that reached out. They told her she wasn't allowed to have a student loan to apply, so that's kind of odd. So I can't really speak on the US consulates. There's so many down there. In Canada, we basically have two. You have Toronto and Montreal, and then if you're in the capital region in Ottawa, you can use the embassy. Other than that, it's like, so Toronto does Ontario West, Montreal does Quebec East, and then the capital region is the embassy. And that's literally all we have in Canada. So it's very straightforward. So I can't really speak on, because there's so many consulates down in the US, but the people in Texas seem to have the easiest go from what I heard. All right, next up is taxes, and I have not filed taxes here yet. I won't be a tax resident until sometime next year. So basically this spring, I'll be filing my Canadian tax with the departure tax. That's maybe I'll make a video on that. So I won't become a tax resident until probably July of 2023. So the tax video won't be, and I don't think they file here until May or June of the next year. So it'll be about 1.5 years before you get a proper tax video on Spain. A lot of people say that they're super high. I have not found that to be the case myself. They are higher than Canada, yes, but super high, I don't know. I'm not from what I've read anyways. All right, so banking, I find it very straightforward. It's a little document heavy compared to Canada, but really not a big deal. Just keep yourself organized. So I get a lot of comments online about do not open a Spanish bank account. I have no idea why nobody ever elaborates, but in my opinion, you need one to set up utilities. You even need one for a cell phone. So I don't understand how people are getting around that. Maybe it's these online accounts. And if you're using online accounts because you're worried about Spanish fees, well, I don't pay any. So back in Canada, if you hold a high enough balance, all your banking is free. There's no debit charges, there's no fees for drafts or anything like that. So it's very similar here, but it's moving money into your Spanish account. So if you continually have 600 euros or more each month go into your account, your banking's free. I'm with Santander. I don't pay a dime for my non-resident or my resident account. I have no banking fees whatsoever. So another point about banking is you can also get your insurances through there. They offer health insurance and they offer life insurance. I just took out life insurance the other day. I'm not really going to get into it. It's like a tiered system, but it's anywheres. My policy is, depending on what happens to me, it's from like 150,000 euros all the way up to, I think, almost 500,000 euros. And that runs me, I think, about 441 a year, euros. So to me, that was actually pretty cheap. If you break that over 12 months, I guess it would be 36 euros a month and change. If you pay it yearly, I think you get a better deal. And then just like back home, the more products you hold with a bank, the better deal you get if there is any fees and stuff like that. So something to think about when you move. And another fairly common question I get is, does it get cold in Spain, especially in the south? Yes, it does. This week it's been down to 5 degrees, but saying that, the afternoon temperature is like 14, 15. So if you're in the sun, it's kind of nice. But yeah, the mornings are chilly, especially if it's rainy. It can be quite cold. I've had my gloves on, I've had my vest on. The higher elevations actually got some snow around here. So yeah, it can get cold. I don't know if it's typical. I know January is a little colder than the other months, but I just read the forecast, and the meteorological people are saying February it's going to start to warm up again. So it's very brief anyway, because the beginning of January was quite nice for winter, and then these last 2 weeks here of January have been kind of cold, and it's also been super, super windy. And one more kind of fun question. No, YouTube is not my job. Literally just a hobby. I like making videos. I like editing. I like doing that kind of stuff. That's why I actually started my channel back in the pandemic. I lived in Nova Scotia. We had really tight lockdowns there. And when they finally let us out, I started making videos around my province. If you go back and watch them, they're absolutely atrocious. But it is not worth it for me to monetize my channel. I could, but I'd have to pay taxes in the US, Canada, and in Spain on it. And the average YouTuber gets between, let's say, $4 and $7 per 1,000 views. So unless if you're in a really niche market and you're getting $20 per 1,000 views, great, and you're getting lots of views. I don't get a lot of views. Most of my videos are under 5,000 views. So let's say I got 5,000 views. The most I'd get is 35 bucks for that whole video. So it's not really worth it to pay accountants and file taxes in all these countries. So no, YouTube is not my job, just a hobby. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap this video up now. Thanks for tuning in. If you have more questions, leave them below. Maybe we'll do this again in another month or two. Depends how many questions I get. Yeah, hopefully you found some value in it. See you in the next one.